11warriors.com web report. Beau, Dan, James, Chris Holtmann. Let's start there. We've got Players of the Year and everything. We won all the awards, which is pretty good. Great season for basketball, men and women. But I want to talk about Chris Holtmann first, because one thing that we did the television show today, and one of the sound bites we ran was from Jason Tate, where he said that Chris Holtmann did not even identify that he won Big Ten Coach of the Year in telling his players. That they hear from it from the assistant coaches and other coaches. And then in his remarks after winning the award, I heard him thank Thad Matta right at the front of his remarks and give credit to Thad Matta. James, you've covered him day in and day out since the beginning of the year. From afar, it appears that no coach I've ever seen has hit the correct tone as much as this guy has here.
Every press conference, every post-game press conference, he's hit all the right buttons. And like I mentioned on the show, he just gets it. He does. He gave leadership. He gave ownership of this program to the seniors from day one, which was important to them. Yeah. They bought in, and everything took off from there. He's hit all the right buttons all season long, and there's no one more deserving of Big Ten Coach of the Year than him. And like you said, he's so humble, and he gives credit to a coach who he really could have just thrown out everything that Thad Matta, and not many people would have blamed him with the last 2 years and with the way they went, but he embraced that. He embraced Thad Matta, the players that he left him, and it's really been incredible to see the run they've gone on. There's no better fit for this program than Coach Holtmann right now.
No, they've absolutely crushed it, which is amazing. I don't believe he was the first choice, but sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. I doubt I was my wife's first choice, and that seemed to work out so far pretty good. The rest of the awards all make sense to me. You know, Kelsey Mitchell winning Big Ten Player of the Year. Well, yeah, of course. Katie Bates-Diop, Big Ten Player of the Year. Yeah, of course. The only thing I can take umbrage with is the mistake of us and the media with Jason Tate not being a second-team All-Big Ten. But I tend to not like making a bigger shining more light on our mistakes. So let's just move off of that. And let's go to Madison Square Garden this week. This is where we're going to play it. I don't anticipate the crowds being big for this. I don't anticipate most people in the country even realize it's going on because of when it's happening. I think it's going to kind of happen, you know, in a closet, in a vacuum that just happens to be the world's most famous arena. What can Ohio State get out of this? What's the ceiling? What's the best that can be accomplished?
I mean, I've talked about it before. There's no more moral victories of this team. So you're going into this week, you want to win the Big Ten tournament. Now, it's not going to be easy. You might have to beat Penn State in your first game, a team that has given them more trouble than any other team. You might have to beat Purdue in your second game, and you might have to beat Michigan State or Michigan in your third game. But to me, what Ohio State's accomplished this year, your goal is to win the big tournament and get the highest seed possible, which is probably either a 2 or a 3 at this point, if you can win the Big Ten tournament. So I'm not predicting that it'll happen, but I think if you're Ohio State, that's your goal. Your goal is to prove that you're one of the best teams in the country and to go out and win this tournament, because that's the expectation you've created for yourself.
James, take away the idea of winning the Big Ten. Let's take away that award of what it could be. From a seeding standpoint, from the NCAA tournament, what's the ceiling in terms of best possible result coming out of this weekend, even though we'll have to wait a week to get the results, and what's the worst?
I think the ceiling is if you win the tournament, I think you're a 2 seed. I really, truly believe that, because you're going to probably beat 2 top 10 teams to do that in Purdue and Michigan State, 2 teams you've already beaten this year. So I think the ceiling is a 2. I think the basement is probably a 5, maybe a 6, especially if they get blown out again by Penn State in that Friday night game in the quarterfinals. But I don't think anything lower than a 6 for this team because of the quality of wins they have. And their losses, they really haven't had a bad loss this year. Penn State twice is, you know, the blowout, but they haven't lost to a very bad team. So I think the basement is probably a 6. The ceiling, I think, is a 2.
Dan, you feel about right in that wheelhouse too?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what James is saying. I think if you beat Purdue, you beat Michigan State again, that should make you a 2 seed as a conference champion. And if you fall, I mean, I think, you know, there's obviously a lot of emphasis put on this conference tournament, but you look at the body of work Ohio State's had all year. One more loss in the Big Ten tournament shouldn't plummet them to a 6 or a 7, in my opinion. Yeah. I think you're probably still a 5, even if you have an early exit in the tournament.
Really what it matters most, as you guys all know this time of year, is who do you play and where do you play? You know, so like to me, I think Villanova's going to be in Pittsburgh as the 1 seed. I think we all kind of know that. And I think if Ohio State can be in Pittsburgh as the 3 seed, regardless, like if they were to get to the Big Ten championship, lose to Michigan State, and be the 3 seed in Pittsburgh, that's a win. That's a heck of a chance to advance into the Sweet 16, which would be a lot of fun. And you always feel like if you get out of that first weekend of the NCAA tournament, you're in the real tournament. Right. That's like the first time you're like, oh, this is the NCAA tournament. So to me, that would be the ceiling. Like find a way to be the 3 seed out of Pittsburgh. And the basement, conversely, would be 6 seed San Diego. Because I've gone with Ohio State when they've played in Portland, and that's That's you feel like you're playing in another world. The time's all weird. The fan base can't show up. So to me, that would be the ceiling, to end up clearing the West Coast. You know, playing in San Diego as a 6th seed against a West Coast Conference team that's going to be a trouble for you playing out there, and may even have the home crowd as well. So lots of intrigue. We'll have to wait a whole week after that to get the answer from the NCAA. So it's a fun time of year, folks.